All right, I'm going to try to explain this. This is an alchemical symbol. At the bottom of the symbol, there's this round thing with wings. Do you ever see Harry Potter? Yeah. You know the game Quidditch? You remember what they chase? They chase a gold one of those. All right, so they call that the snitch, I believe, and there's a little fragment of soul, and it's a very interesting idea because for the alchemists, the primary element of reality, whatever that was, could be conceptualized as this thing, this round chaos. And what it was conceptualized of, in part, was it was a container from which matter and spirit could emerge. And you might ask, well, what does that mean? This is what it means. When a child experiences something it can't predict, it does the thing that led to that uncertain outcome over and over and over and over until it can map it. And then you think, well, what did the child do? What the child did was take the domain of that which it did not understand, and it transformed it into matter, which is the predictable world of entities, and spirit, which is the internal psychological structure that's adapted to that. And so what the alchemists basically conceptualized was that what exists outside of your conceptual framework is something like unrealized potential. And when you interact with that unrealized potential, you actualize it, and you actualize it into two component elements, one being the material world and the other being your own psychological structure. That's why they conceptualized matter and spirit, the container of matter and spirit, as the ultimate reality. And out of that emerged something that was quite primordial, which is the dragon. Now, one of the things we know, you remember in the Genesis story, it's the snake that gives people vision. Remember that? It gives them wisdom, and it also produces self-consciousness. There's a woman named Lynn Isbell who's an anthropologist in LA, and she was very interested in human being sight because we can really see. We can see better than any other creature except predatory birds. We can see way better than most primates. Isbell knew that our tree-dwelling ancestors some 60 million years ago emerged at about the same time as snakes. They're younger than lizards, by the way. And that we were preyed on quite intensely by snakes for tens of millions of years. And she also knew that we were good at detecting snakes in the bottom of our visual field, and that we were particularly good at detecting the camouflage patterns of snakes in the bottom of our visual field. So she did a series of field experiments showing that primate visual acuity was correlated strongly with the presence of predatory snakes in the immediate environment. So, the idea that snakes gave us vision is right. Now, why is that relevant to this? We were preyed upon for a very long period of time, and we developed a neural circuit to deal with predators. And that's the neural circuit that's activated in children when they're terrified about monsters at night. So, the predator entity, which is this dragon, it's like an amalgam of predatory forces, is one of the manifestations of the things that exist outside of the dominance hierarchy. So it's a form of primordial reality. It's not abstract anymore like the matter and spirit container. It's like the first practical manifestation of what's terrifying and threatening concretely outside that. And so, remember, animals can respond to threat, but they can't conceptualize threat as a category. That's the conceptualization of threat as a category. It emerges from the absolute unknown. It manifests itself as threat. So, for example, if you hear a loud noise behind you, or a growl when you're in the forest, the first thing that happens is you don't know what's going on. And that's the initial state of contact with potential. And then if you turn around and you look, that potential manifests itself into something that's predatory. And you have a circuit for that. And that's the same circuit that we now use to assess anything unexpected that occurs to us. And that circuit had to come from somewhere. And so our capacity to respond to surprising entities is an elaboration up into abstraction of our capacity to identify predators. So that's the next level of reality. And out of that chaotic circumstance comes something that's more human. And that is the emergence of masculinity and femininity out of that more primordial element.